I recently read that there were over 100,000 computer science graduates last year alone in the US. I started my career in tech over 12 years ago now, and I honestly just couldn't believe that I could get paid for building cool stuff when I started. But looking back now, there are 5 harsh truths that I wish someone told me when I started, because these have heavily shaped my career and ultimately where I've ended up today. And one of these things has more than doubled my income on 2 separate occasions. So let's jump in to truth number 1. Being a great coder won't get you very far. When a lot of people go into tech, they assume that because they've spent a lot of time coding in their bedroom and really enjoy the skill of writing code, that this is what a career in tech is going to look like. But it's pretty much never like that at all. You're often going to have to work with larger teams, deal with people that have got huge egos, and often developers are the people that have the biggest egos. Like every developer thinks that their code is the best. So you're going to have to deal with these kinds of people, understand things like system design, working closely with architects and designers and converting UI into functional websites. I know that sounds simple, but so many developers really suck at the job of converting design into a website that actually looks like that design. Also managing expectations and not just saying no to things, explaining why something might not be technically feasible for the budgets or for the constraints that you have, rather than just say something's impossible. Having the right communication style with everyone in the business is going to allow you to get so much further than if you just sort of shut down, have an ego, and don't gel well with other members in the team. So really all of the soft skills around the hard technical skills are going to be the thing that will complement those technical skills the most and allow you to get a lot further. Truth number 2 is that every missed deadline gets paid for by the development team. Although a lot of projects get planned in a way that everyone describes as agile, what actually tends to happen is most of the time gets eaten up by the initial planning, the design, the wireframes, the talking to clients, and then all of the missed deadlines in all of those phases of the project will eat away at the development budget, and often the deadline never moves. So all of those mistakes that have happened previously are going to eat away at the development budget, and then you will often find that when deadlines are looming, you're the last person in the office coding late, trying to get things over the line. The designers have gone home, everyone else has gone home, and then the development team are working hard, trying to get things over the deadline at the last second. This has happened so much in my career, and it's just an unfortunate side effect of the fact that development often comes after all of the design and planning phases. Truth number 3 is that big companies are slow and small companies are poor. At small startups, you'll often get budget constraints, not being able to have access to the right tools or limited access to the right tools because it costs too much. You'll see friends get made redundant when investors pull out. But the benefit is that if you do want to learn really quickly and move really quickly with feature development, not have too much red tape at all, then small companies are a really great place to be. Now, the opposite is true with big companies. At big companies, everything moves incredibly slowly, but they tend to have much bigger budgets as well. Because there are so many stakeholders involved with every decision, you'll find that you'll just spend tons of time doing very basic things like changing an environment variable, for example. It could take hours when you've got to talk to DevOps and then talk to the project manager to get sign off to do all of these things. You might not be able to install all the libraries you want because there's red tape around different versions that are actually acceptable for that company. So depending on the kind of thing that you want, stability and slowness or risk and speed, you're going to get either one of those things at large companies or small companies. Truth number 4 is that you're going to work on awful code bases. Now, when people start, they go in with the expectation that they're going to start on brand new projects, greenfield projects every single time. But a lot of the time, you'll likely inherit code bases that are 4, 5, 6+ years old, created by developers that no longer work at the company. They'll follow completely inconsistent patterns because potentially tens to hundreds of developers have worked on those projects and left over the course of many, many years. And then you will be the next person to adopt that project and have to maintain it, potentially working with out-of-date tools and packages, not being able to follow all of the modern standards that you'd expect from your side hustles. But that is just the reality of enterprise development, unfortunately. And it's a good thing to accept that that's the reality and learn to be able to process massive systems like this and really not get too caught up with the idea that the code base is not going to be perfect, because it's really not going to be. So focus on the areas that you can improve on and at least try to maintain the highest standard that you can. I think a really good skill to help solve this issue is being really liberal with refactoring and looking at these big projects and not being afraid to change things, to rewrite things completely, to align everything. If everyone were to follow these kind of patterns from the start, we wouldn't end up with these huge messy code bases. But that's just not the reality of the situation, so don't expect it. You will work on some horrible code bases over the course of your career. Truth number 5 is that you will not get rewarded for loyalty. Most people in tech will switch jobs between every 2 to 3 years. And you'll find this out quickly when you work at a lot of companies. You can ask most engineers how long they've been there. And typically for an engineer to have been at a company for more than say 5 years is pretty rare these days. So when I was early on in my career, I was working at a job where I was getting paid around £21,000 per year. And then every year we'd go in for a review, for a performance review, and you'd get offered like £500 raise, £1,000 raise. And then at that point, I switched companies and instantly went up to £45,000 per year. After 3 years, I switched companies again and then went up to £120,000 per year. And I've been following that same kind of pattern now for the last 5-6 years, not staying at companies really for more than like 3 years at a time. The reason being, you will get huge salary increases by switching companies. But the unfortunate situation is, in most companies, you don't get rewarded for loyalty. So if you do want to get the biggest salaries available in the industry, then switching companies is the way to do it. So that was 5 harsh lessons from over 12 years of working in tech. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.